are I'm trying to call into Blog Talk Radio at the moment. Uh, Trying to get this done so I can call into Gibson Media, but we're going to it seems to be having an issue trying to connect. So we're going to try and call into Blog Talk Radio, and we're going to try and connect into Gibson Media, and we're going to try and have a little bit of a debate with him. And so we will see how this goes, but unfortunately, Blog Talk Radio is giving me a little bit of a problem at the moment, so we're going to see if we can get this connection up and running. Otherwise, we're going to have to do it another way. I'm trying to get it in. It's supposed to be up and running. He's supposed to be live. I wonder if he's having problems as well. I'm wondering if Blog Talk Radio is having a problem at the moment, because it's saying it's live and waiting for host to call in. I'm showing that it's waiting for my host to call in. Interesting indeed. Let me check my my email and see if he's having the same problems that I'm having, and we'll go from there, I suppose. Otherwise, this is going to be a very short episode, and we're going to see. We'll see exactly how this goes. But in the meanwhile, hey, how's everybody going? If you happen to be watching on the super secrets, not too secret, but the surprise episode of Liberal Dan Radio, he goes, do a short intro. I'm going to email him and say, are you having problems connecting to Blog Talk Radio? You having any issues connecting to Blog Talk Radio? It's because I am. It's not connecting for me. Press the button to call again, and it's not working. And it's still showing that he's waiting for the host to call in, so I don't know. It's definitely interesting. What's up, Bill? How's it going? What's up, Seha? How's it going? I'm trying to call into the Gibson Media radio program, so I guess I can be the troll on his radio station. But instead of him being the troll on mine, I would be the troll on his. However, I am having some issues trying to connect to my Blog Talk Radio stream, and it looks like he's having issues trying to connect to his. If I'm seeing this correctly, because look, if I go to my alternate connections and you see, look, restoring our republic, Joseph A. Gibson III, and see House 2024, and it says waiting for host to call in, and his show is supposed to be live. It's supposed to be waiting for the host to call in, and there's nothing going on with his thing. We should be getting some sort of thing right now, but it's not airing. So, who the heck knows? There could be a Blog Talk Radio issue going on at this very moment. Because if you look for me, it also says that there is a problem going on. Let's see, we click over here. Let's close this out as well, and we do a direct connect. The microphone already does have connection issues or connect permissions, and this is what it normally does, and then it tells me Blog Talk Radio or whatever. It usually says Blog Talk Radio with a nice British voice, and then it'll say, it'll start to connect the show. To start your show, please press 1. And then it'll say, the show is starting, connecting to you to a live show now, and then you'll connect in. It's like an attack that Lindell always gets. Maybe. I don't know. So maybe Blog Talk Radio is having problem. Maybe they're having a denial of service attack. I don't know. I don't know if there's a blog that can be checked to see whether or not Blog Talk Radio is being under attack or not, but I can't connect. And if I can't connect to Blog Talk Radio. He can't connect. I need volume. Let's see. Let's check my audio settings, because I was having some audio issues last time as well. Let's see. Opened volume mixer. I'm probably connected to the wrong thing. That's probably the input device. No, that's the correct input device. Let's see. Because last time I was having some issues as well. Does that sound better? That's the brightness. That's not that. Let's see. Open volume mixer. Output device. Apps. Volume. Do. Sound settings. Speakers. Volume. Input volume. There we go. Input volume 100%. That's much better, I think, probably at this point. It's probably much better right now. That's probably better. I don't know why my volume input was reduced down to 100% from 100, but now we are at 100. So that's probably better. Virginia is for lovers and for listeners, I guess, at that point. I don't know this is the weirdest thing. Because I don't know what's going on. This may be one of the shortest podcasts in internet history, or at least in my internet history. Because clearly, Blog Talk Radio is having some issues. So has everybody watched the either last night or watched the videos that I posted today? Because apparently Gibson Media had some issues dealing with. Hey, Demonox, what's going on? I don't know if this is going to happen tonight because I can't connect to Blog Talk Radio, and it appears, as I'm looking at Gibson Media's screen, as looking at his Blog Talk Radio page, it looks like they're waiting for the host to call in as well. Trump said Hamas attacked Israel. Well, you know, Hamas is, according to the rumor mill, Hamas would be Donald Trump's favorite thing of all of the dips. You know why? Because he likes to see the chickpea. What's up, TK? Santos was indicted for over 20 felony counts in New York. Is that new? Is that a new thing, or is that a different thing? Let's see, we could go George Santos indicted. New charges. Nice. DOJ follows superseding indictment against George Santos 54 minutes ago. Very nice. 23 count superseding indictment has been filed against Republican Rep. George Santos of New York. Indictment out of Eastern New York from one count of conspiracy to commit fraud against the United States, identity theft, and other charges. And then we got an interesting ad for VMA thing. That's nice. But yeah, very cool. He's going down faster than something inappropriate. Let's see. Blog Talk is having problems, so there's a 30-minute delay to everyone's show from what I gather. So there you go. I was noticing that because I was going to be calling in from my show to your show. 30-minute delay, eh? That is interesting indeed. So we can shoot the sheet for a few minutes at least and just have a conversation about everything else that's going on in the news, make some horrible jokes about all the good stuff that's going on in today's stuff. There was some just terrible, terrible things being relayed about some of the stuff that's going on over there in Israel. We have just a continuation of the witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. Does George Santos like getting dressed up as a witch? Like, I mean, I know he's done drag supposedly, but I don't know if a witch is one of the things that he's dressed up. He should do what you do, YouTube. I mean, yeah, I think he does have a YouTube channel, but he doesn't do it as much. He doesn't do what I do with the dual streaming to Blog Talk Radio and to YouTube. That's, I guess, mine's a step up. Yeah, we've been talking about that a little bit, Elizabeth, whilst we wait for Blog Talk Radio issues to resolve themselves and to see whether or not we will be doing the me calling into Gibson Media instead of Gibson Media calling into me deal. So as we wait for that to see if that's going to happen, we'll talk about the news of the day. But yeah, there's been and it'll be me and maybe Demonox and maybe Yosh. I don't know if Yosh is definitely going to be doing it or not, but we'll see. We'll see if we get lucky enough to form all of Voltron or not. But we'll get at least me and Demonox, and Demonox is let's try 7:30, see what happens. Figure just my luck. I've been wanting to get you on, and the gods are not allowing it. LOL. Let's see. I am just hanging out talking. I don't know if I want to say that. I'm just waiting. Hang out wedding. It's all good. I'm not saying I'm hanging out wedding on YouTube. If he happens to find me over here, then that's fine. Otherwise, it is what it is. I don't think I can play that. Yeah, I can't play that yet because I'm not connected to Blog Talk, so I can't play the Blog Talk sounds. Can we get Wes on? I mean, look, here's the deal. Anybody of y'all is welcome to call in to the show. His show is 637-838-0616. So whenever his show goes live, y'all can call in too. I'm not going to stop y'all from doing it. If y'all want to call in, y'all can call in. I'm not going to stop y'all from doing whatever it is y'all want to do. So if Wes wants to call in, he can call in. If y'all want to call in, y'all can call in too. I'm just going to say, I'm going to call. I'm going to do my spiel. I'm going to talk about my stuff. He already doesn't like what I've said. He's already seen. I don't know if he watched. I don't think he watched my full show last night, but I posted at least 40 minutes worth of clips from the show on YouTube that went live this morning. Maybe 35. I don't know. I didn't do a full calculation of how many minutes each of the 4 videos were. So maybe it was like 7, 14, 20, maybe 38 to 40 minutes of content that I posted from last night. So he's watched at least some of those videos, and he's already commented on some of them, and he thinks I'm a nutball for saying what I'm saying, and I'm taking what I think a lot of people would say is probably a more moderated approach than some of the people out there. Not that it's moderate, because I'm pretty steadfast in saying that the Hamas is a bunch of dickbags for kidnapping people, and I'm pretty firm on that, and I'm pretty firm on Netanyahu being, also, the Netanyahu government is also a bunch of dickbags for, pushing settlements and perpetuating the issues that are continuing to, disenfranchise and marginalize the Palestinian people who are not part of Hamas, who, and some of my theories that I was talking about yesterday seemed to be not necessarily completely verified, that Netanyahu benefits from Hamas, but almost that he he at least does seem to want Hamas to do what it does in order for him to be able to be politically successful. That seemed to be Elizabeth. You like what I said? I appreciate you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Bill, as well. So because I'm not as because I have a problem with the term. Sometimes the term moderate is taken to mean that taken to be wishy-washy. And I don't think I'm being wishy-washy. I'm not trying to be like I'm not trying to be somebody who is unwilling to be firm on my stance. I'm firm on my stances. It's just that I'm willing to be firm. If one side, I'm like this every time, like on all parts of the podcast, when my side does wrong, I call out my side. When the other side does wrong, I call out the other side. I just happen to believe that the other side does wrong many more times than my side does. So that's just the way it is. Then actually have two leaders that are terrible. I mean, I don't even know does Hamas really have a leader? I mean, I don't even know if there's an official leader in and of itself. I mean, I don't even know if there's an official leader of Hamas or if it's just a group of cells that kind of work together in unison. But yeah, and yeah, Israel does have a military and a global backing, and Hamas has the backing of Iran, and Hamas has the backing of other anti-Israel groups. It's not as massive as the backing that Israel does, but Israel, hypothetically speaking, it is a more Israel is set up, it is set up and is supposed to be a government that is a representative democracy, and Hamas is not. Hamas is a terrorist organization that rules the Palestinian people in Gaza under their thumb. Now, in reality, Netanyahu is a corrupt mother effer who is a piece of crap who is trying to usurp power, steal it away from the Supreme Court in order to protect his corrupt ass and make sure that he doesn't go to prison for his alleged corrupt behavior. So there's that. There's the hypotheticals of what Israel is supposed to be, and then there's what Israel ends up being, and then there's two different things. But there's some there's a certain amount of sympathy that I will have being somebody who's lived outside of Israel, in that Israel was created, and from the immediate creation of Israel, it was constantly under attack by all of the nations around it. It's like, you can't exist. Like, the United Nations made a compromise and said, hey, we are going to create these two states. We're going to create the Palestinian state, we're going to create the Israeli state, and these two states to coexist because that's the solution, that's the compromise. Both sides are going to have to give up something, and Israel was like, okay. And the Arab nations all around them were like, nope. And went, attack. And Israel was like, well, we'll defend ourselves. And they pushed back, and they took a little of the land more than what was granted to the Palestinians. They took some of the land that was granted to the Palestinians. But then the people that took the rest of the land, as I talked about in one of the videos, was Jordan and Gaza. So Jordan took the West Bank from the Palestinians, and Egypt took Gaza from the Palestinians, and didn't give the land to the Palestinians that was supposed to be given to the Palestinians according to the UN resolution that created the two states. So you end up having the situation where these people were abused as pawns in the attempts of these Arab nations to try and eliminate the state of Israel, and instead of them just either giving them back the land so that they can have their lands back. But I'm not saying an eye for an eye only when the smaller group attacks the larger group. I'm saying, I said last night that it would be a completely different story if if Hamas attacked a military target. If Hamas only attacked a military target, that would be a completely different story. And I even was willing to entertain perhaps the argument that of adults of a certain age in Israel technically can be called up as part of the military reserves, and as such you might be able to make the argument that there are more people who are considered military as part of the nation of Israel than might be considered military in other nations. So if you're in Hamas, you might consider people in a certain age group, 18 to 35 or whatever, you might consider more of those people as being valid targets than might be in other nations. And we could have that conversation. I'm not necessarily saying I'm agreeing that non-active service folks are valid targets. I'm just saying that there's an argument that could be made there to have that discussion as to whether or not they would be. But children, absolutely no. Elderly, absolutely no. That is a non-starter. Now, if you end up killing, if Hamas attacked a military target and ended up killing innocent civilians, children, elderly folks, then that's what happens in war, and it sucks, but it's not a terrorist attack. It's a military attack. And if Hamas was attacking the military in response to the actions of the Israeli military, then that's what happens in war. And it should still stop on both sides, but it's not what happened this past weekend. And I'm not sure how much has been confirmed or not, but if the reports that have been reported by multiple sources but get actually confirmed, and if they actually beheaded infants, I mean, what the hell? There's no justification of that. There's no way to do that. Hey, Robert, what's going on? Yeah, 300,000 called up. But there was a bunch of people who have been called up who refused the call because they were pissed off at Netanyahu, because they refused the call because of Netanyahu, and they were like, no, you're a corrupt dickhead. We don't want to be called up. We don't want to be called up by you. We don't like you, and then all of a sudden this happened, and they're like, well, we now are going to get called up because this is more important than our grudge with Netanyahu. But previously, they were not willing to get called up. They were like, nope, sorry, we're not accepting the call. We're refusing the call. Like Game of Thrones stuff. Let's see. I don't know. He's still waiting to call. And I've called out the Demonox, and I've called out the Israeli government when they do things and target civilians, when they bulldoze civilian homes, for example, in order for the whatchamacallits to the settlements to continue and be perpetuated. I've called them out on those things in the past. It's, and that's fine. But again, we need to be able to have the conversation in such a way that we need to be able to say, and we've had this conversation privately, Demonox, that, or at least in our Voltron chat, we need to be able to say Hamas kidnapping children and kidnapping the elderly, and if they did so, raping women and beheading infants, is wrong. Full stop. No ifs, ands, buts. No but Israel. No nothing. We need to be able to have that and just say that and have there be no debate. There should be no debate about that. There should be nobody from the Palestinian government saying but what Israel has done has created this environment. No, there should be nothing about that. It should be that, end of story. We can have a discussion about the from the 30,000 foot point of view as to what each side does to perpetuate the violence that happens at the macro level. We can have that discussion. But when it comes to the individual acts, we need to be able to have we need to be able to just say this act was wrong, done, stop, and end of story, stop. Just like we need to be able to say when Israel bulldozes a house of an innocent civilian in order to allow a settlement to happen, we need to be able to say this is wrong, full stop. Nothing else. Yeah, we don't hear about it in the mass media. I wonder why that is. Because we don't allow for the smaller guys to get heard. Iran is destabilizing the region for Putin. Well, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Well, who else destabilized the region for Putin? It was not me. I didn't do anything. I just gave him classified information that Israel shared with me. And who knows what other information I gave to Putin, who then gave it to Iran, who then gave it to Hamas, who then allowed Iran to, or allowed Hamas to be able to get by the Iron Dome. If it's not an if then that, yes, bad, also bad. Let's not actually ignore. Yeah, I'm not saying we ignore one side or the other. I'm saying if one side does bad, criticize the bad. Don't try and say, well, the bad was done in the context of the other bad. Let's say if the bad should not be able to be justified. Now, if they attack a military target, like if Hamas goes, all right, well, we're going to attack a military target, we can then talk about, well, they attacked this military target because Israel attacked this target because this was, we could then talk about that, and that's fine. But we can't just sit here and say, we can't just try and play the whataboutism game when it comes to beheading infants, if in fact that is confirmed what happened. Most of Palestine does not like Hamas, and most of the people in Palestine are not empowered to overthrow Hamas, because Hamas is a terrorist organization, and the Palestinian people living in Gaza live under the thumb of Hamas. And who benefits from Hamas being in power other than Hamas, but Benjamin Netanyahu? So why would Benjamin Netanyahu want to help the people of Palestine, want to help the people living in Gaza get out under the thumb of the people in Hamas? Because he benefits from the Palestinians living under the existential threat from Hamas, and he benefits from the people in Israel living under the existential threat of Hamas, because he then can justify his own actions of causing an existential threat to the people who are living in Palestine. He can justify his bad actions. And then the people in Israel will be like, well, of course we have to allow him to do it. If we allow, because he has to be able to protect us from the Palestinians. And then we wind up, the escalation, and, people talking, about the other. Each side starts then talking about each other in dehumanizing ways. They start talking about each other as, animals and dogs and pigs and whatever. And then once you start dehumanizing the other side, then it becomes so much easier to start, thinking about, doing things like raising Gaza and when we should be raising Gaza. We shouldn't raise Gaza. We should raise Gaza. We should be helping the people of Gaza become, financially independent, to make sure that they have the rights and the say of, and have democratically elected governments instead of a brutal regime like Hamas. What's up, Jason? Thank you for joining us on your break. Appreciate it. The term I alone can fix it. Jason, if I was president, it would have never happened. It would have never happened. If I was president, one of the things that pissed me off was in 2004 when John Kerry marched around the campaign going, I have a plan. And then he never said what the goddamn plan was. Well, you can't, if you can't tell us what the plan is, then what good is it? I'm only going to tell you the plan if I win. If I lose, screw you. You don't get my plan. It's Joseph Gibson is the listing. This is Joseph Gibson's episode page. That's the page. That's the episode that we're waiting for him to be able to call in. Supposedly it should start now. Who knows? Let's see. Let's see if I can. We're supposedly waiting for a for this to be able to happen. Let's see if I can do a direct connect now. Please, let's see. Connection. We'll see if we get the British voice, the British chippy, the bird, if you will. What's up, Silly Wonka? How's it going? Good to see you. Be funny. We have this about where I'm calling into Gibson Media, and then all of a sudden, we never get to actually speak to Gibson Media. Yes, his name is his channel. Dude got to get branding, I guess. And the thing is, I can't complain to Blog Talk Radio. I can't do any complaining to Blog Talk Radio about any of this because, well, of my situation. My situation with Blog Talk Radio is one where I don't want to make any noise. Because I'm in a very good situation that I don't want to mess up. Nope. It's just hanging on. Settings. Let's see. What was that? I'm just hearing myself. Interesting. Okay, that was weird. Let's see if it happens again. Try and call again. Why is this so stupid? We only have 10 viewers and 8 likes though, so please make sure to smash that like button. It helps the algorithms. Thank you very much, Jason, for joining. If you didn't like the video before you heading out, please make sure to smash that like. It's not that I was grandfathered to a great deal. It's that I made an argument as to why their initial deal wording was terrible, and they flipped some switch on my account and they never unflipped it. So don't tell them, because their initial wording was like, you can have 2 months free. You can try for 2 months free. Or you could try Blog Talk Radio for 2 months free. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try the annual plan for 2 months free. And then they'll bill me after 2 months. And I tried the annual plan. They billed me immediately. And I was like, but you said I could try for 2 months free. Well, that's the monthly plan. It doesn't say the monthly plan. It says that I could try for 2 months free. But you're already getting a 2-month discount when you try the annual plan. But that doesn't say that. And I went over the plan with them. I was like, well, can you just restart it with me? And I was like, no. And they're like, no, we can't do that. The system only does it for new accounts. I'm like, okay. Well, then what do we do? They're like, all right, well, how about this? We'll go ahead and we'll comp you. And then you just change your mind after the 2 months or whatever. After the 2 months, you decide which plan you want. And I was just like, $20, I'll keep quiet. Well, I mean, if you want me to lose the Blog Talk Radio abilities and make my podcast less good, then go ahead and rat me out. You passed on tacos from it happens. We're having New Orleans style barbecue shrimp tonight, and I'm smelling it and I'm hungry. And if this doesn't fix itself anytime soon, we're just gonna have to reschedule. I would say I hope this gets fixed by tomorrow, but tomorrow's guest with Britt, we're doing a Zoom call, so we don't need Blog Talk Radio for tomorrow. We're just doing a Zoom call tomorrow. I mean, I might connect via Blog Talk Radio, but if I can, but tomorrow's guest, we're connecting via Zoom, and it's going to be an actual video chat. So, but I can't play my Donald thing. Well, it is what it is. Um, so I don't know. This may not work out for today. Gibson Media might get a reprieve from today's invasion of me onto his show. Who knows? Always sarcasm unless I'm angry. Muhammad Atta, the only Egyptian, was the ringleader of 9/11. He was in Israel prison prior. Zahri bin Laden's cohort was Egyptian. Of course, Hamas was capable of this. Yeah. I mean, I do want to get the audio of Donald Trump blaming hummus. I blame hummus. I blame hummus for it. There wasn't enough pita. No pita for the hummus. I need some dolmades for the hummus. And the tzatziki sauce. Damn, now I'm getting really hungry. Talking all about this food. Damn. Anywho. We're going to give it about 5 more minutes, I think. So I'm going to have to get your deets on how to have 2 people chat on YouTube for a blog and also record it. I want to launch Progressive Pop Culture in January with my co-host. David Packman has a video. I'm sure I'll be able to find it. I just have to go find it amongst all the other things. I was very busy at work today. I had to work with 2 separate. Problem with working remote is like I had to work with our DBA, our database administrator, is an outsourced person, and the person with whom I deal with server stuff who also does some database stuff, I guess too, is in Jacksonville, Florida. So I had to coordinate with both of those people on trying to get a SharePoint install done, because I have to get a SharePoint install done because we have an old SharePoint server that's going away because it's going out of service, and most of our stuff is going to the cloud, but some of the stuff needs to be on-prem, so I need to move that stuff over, and this is all last minute. And I was basically working the majority of the day trying to get that stuff done, and in order for it to get done, the database settings had to be just right. And I couldn't change the database settings because I don't have DBA permissions. Let's see. Silly Wonka, all the buildings you see in Gaza did not exist in 1990. There was only a couple of buildings in Gaza in 1978 when I was there at the Gaza bus stop. Huh. But yeah, I'll definitely give you the deets on how to have 2 people chat on YouTube for. I mean, basically what you need, the short version of it is you need OBS. And OBS is free. Because that's what I'm using right now. And you just have to have some sort of chat functionality. Like with Brit, we're using Zoom. You could use, Meet, Google Meet. You could use any sort of video chat functionality. You could probably use StreamYard if you wanted to shell out the money for StreamYard, but I'm not there yet. I might pay into either StreamYard or the whatever paid OBS version there is, or what have you. If once I get monetized here, and then I start streaming over both here on YouTube and on Twitch. Once that happens, I'll have to do that because OBS currently at the moment doesn't give me the ability to stream both places. Unless there's a plugin I don't know about, and if there is a plugin that I can find that allow me to do it for free, I'll start doing that sooner, just to start getting that ball rolling. We'll see. See, what camera do I use? So the camera that I use, I'll share. I will share you the link. It's just the Logitech, but let me share you the link to the camera that I use, because if you get it off of Amazon and you use my link, I get credit for it. So, and I use the Rode Podcaster mic, and I don't use the webcam mic. I use the Rode Podcaster mic, which is much better for the audio. And, I don't think I've been able to tone down how ridiculously good looking I am, Demonox. It's just not possible for us. There's no way that we're going to be able to do that. We would have to do just a pure audio podcast in that case. In which case, we'd still have to deal with our voices that are just such, smooth sounds of our own podcast. I mean, we can't necessarily keep up with Percy, with the Percy podcast, and Nimbus Yosh, the host the most. I mean, he clearly has us outclassed on both of that. But although I did have, when I was driving Uber and Lyft, I did have several people comment that I would be very good if that I should be on the radio because of my voice, and I would be like, well, I do have Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right, and they'd be like, oh really, and then I'd give them a card or whatever, and usually the joke would be, that's okay, Jolie, I'm probably ending soon anyway because Gibson Blog Talk Radio is having problems, and they Blog Talk Radio is having some problems, and it doesn't look like this is going to be a thing anyway. So we're probably going to be ending in, I said 5 minutes ago, but maybe 5 minutes from now. But no, like one of the people said, you have a really good voice for radio. And I'd be like, my common joke would be like, well, at least you didn't say I had a face for radio. So... But yeah, but good to see you, Jolie. Thank you for joining. Even if it is going to be a brief, short time. But yeah, like it was very funny. Like I used to call into one of the bigger radio stations in the afternoon, WWL, and my wife's boss, when we were dating at the time, when my wife was working at a real estate company, and her boss was a big old conservative. She was a big old conservative, and she would listen to this. You know, the host in and of itself wasn't a conservative in and of itself, but most talk radio is conservative. But I would call in and still give my liberal points or whatever. But I think Cassie once pointed out that, oh, there's the guy I'm dating. There's the guy I'm seating as Dan, you know, whatever. And that was pre-liberal Dan. That was just Dan from Kenner, Dan from Algiers, whatever. That's the guy I'm seeing or whatever. And Cha-Cha, her name was, would always comment about how good my voice was. She was thirsty for my voice or whatever. And even I would like, I remember I would call like people like when I was like, you know, like I would like meet them, like whatever, be like, you know, call people, like, you know, talk to them, whatever, like, you know, set up a date or whatever, and like, you know, back when I was, you know, we were all like, I was here, but like they were like college students still living at home, and I'd be like, hey, is so and so there or whatever, and the mom would pick up the phone, and I there were several times where the mom would be like, he sounds sexy, and I'd be like, dum-pa-dum-pa-dum, you know, make me feel all sorts of good or whatever. So good for the ego that I have a nice sounding voice, I guess. So what's going on? You know, let's see. What's up, Chucker Dan? Just wing it for a couple hours. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to wing it for a couple of minutes just because, you know, I'm hungry. I smell the food and I'm about ready. I haven't really eaten anything all day. So I'm about ready to go. So, I can't even play my out music because I'm not even connected to Blog Talk Radio. So I think I'm just going to email Gibson Media and be like, I think I'm cutting out. I think I am giving up for the day. We can reschedule another time. Have a good one. Peace. Oh, well, it was a good try. What did I call him? Tim, did I call him something other than Trucker John? Did I just say John? Is it John? Is it Trucker John if you're nasty? Anyway, so this is the end, I guess, of this week's. I keep saying this week's. I was not doing it the first couple times I did it. This is the end of today's episode of a special episode of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from Left, That's Right. I will be back tomorrow, though, for the regularly scheduled episode with Britt Gandolfi, candidate for Louisiana Senate, and we will continue to talk about the episodes of the day. Did I say Trucker Dan? Maybe it's the lack of food that's making me just woozy. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just maybe I'm just trying to get a new profession. I don't know. Be on the road again. Lord, I can't wait to get on the road again. No, I don't want to be on the road again. I'm done driving. Anyway, thank y'all very much for tuning in. It was great seeing y'all. Go to twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. If you have Twitch, go follow that channel as well as the nerdydan.com. Liberal Dan Radio on YouTube here, Twitter, Facebook as well. See you tomorrow, and have a good night.